3 strategies if your toddler is still thrusting their tongue. So first of all, what is a tongue thrust and why do kids even do it? When babies are first born, they actually do, it's similar to a tongue thrusting pattern, but not as dramatic as what we're going to be talking about tonight. What they do is this sort of anterior posterior movement with their tongue. It's a forward backward movement, okay? And their little tongue just gets right under the breast or bottle, and it helps to extract the liquid from the breast or the nipple on the bottle. So babies are supposed to have that sort of forward backward tongue movement. That's because it's driven by a reflex. And that sucking reflex that we're talking about here that creates that forward backward movement, that eventually begins to integrate into the body because the baby can start to actually do it on their own. And we typically see that integrate, around 5 or 6 months, roughly. Okay. That's about the time the kids are starting solid foods, right? So whether you're doing a lot of baby self-feeding where the kids are trying to rake up the food on their own and smush it into their little mouth, or whether you're doing some spoon feeding, they're both awesome. Well, you'll see that the baby often will put the food in their mouth, but they'll push it back out. That can be because that reflex is still in place and hasn't quite integrated. But it can also be due to some anatomical factors. So if the baby perhaps has not been checked yet for a tongue tie and perhaps other types of tethered oral tissue, but we're going to focus on tongue tie tonight. If they have not yet been checked for a tongue tie, it's possible that their tongue is being held down enough by that little piece of tissue that we all have here. I always like to show you mine. This is called a frenum. Look. See that little piece of tissue right there? That one right in the center, sometimes it's embedded in your tongue, that actually anchors the floor of the tongue to the floor of the mouth. And as long as it's functional, meaning that it's long enough, it moves well, it provides good functional movement, then that's great. But sometimes it's a little tight, it's a little taut, it's a little restrictive. And the kids may have been an okay breastfeeder or maybe not, but when it comes to solids, what they're having trouble with is elevating this spot right here. Let me show you. It's the spot that if I gave you a Tic Tac right now and you popped it in your mouth, you would hold it right in that spot, right? Well, if that spot is being held down by the frenum or the frenulum, we sometimes call it, then the babies can't elevate that spot up to the roof of their mouth. Here, watch. That's what we should be able to do. So what happens? They continue to go forward, back, forward, back. So instead of swallowing this way, watch me. No problem, right? My tongue went right up to the roof of my mouth. What they do is they either swallow by their tongue tip coming between their gums, or if you're even talking about, a 14-month-old, because we're talking about toddlers here tonight in terms of the tongue thrust staying there, then you can actually see it a little bit here. More like that, or you'll see that tongue trying to push forward. That's a tongue thrust. Okay, so that typically is going to go away, not 100%, but right around 12 months of age, we'll see kids begin to develop more of a mature swallow pattern that I showed you earlier. But if you're still noticing that your toddler, say 12 to 15 months, still has quite a bit of thrusting motion, I want to give you 3 strategies that you can use to help your child learn to retract that tongue a little bit more and get that tongue tip up, assuming that it's not due to an anatomical issue, like, for example, a tongue tie. Alrighty. Hey, you know what? Let me just throw 2 more points in. Another thing we have to consider is, why would kids get stuck on that pattern? A lot of times it's because they're thumb sucking or they're digit sucking, or they're using a hard spouted sippy cup that actually holds the tongue tip down, and they're sucking on that hard spout, and their tongue is constantly going forward, back, under that hard spout. That hard spout is just like having a thumb in your mouth, does the exact same thing. So, given all of that, here's what I want you to do. First of all, on my website, and I'll put the link in the comments for you, I have on my free toolbox page the 10 steps to teaching your child to drink from a straw. And if you have my book, Raising a Healthy, Happy Eater, it's right there. See it right there? It's in that book as well, but you can download it for free off my website on my free toolbox page. So the first step is to teach a child to drink from a straw. And I like to teach kids to drink from a straw pretty early on. The only prerequisite to it is they have to be able to suck puree off their fingers or off a spoon. And that early sucking motion and that little bit of retraction of their tongue is the first step to learning to drink from a straw. So be sure to download that so you know how to do that. So assuming that this little toddler now can drink from a straw, here's what you're going to do to help to alleviate that mild tongue thrust. What you're going to do is, you know how we all use these little take and toss cups? We buy these at the grocery store, at Target, et cetera, et cetera. Yeah, we've all got those. Well, you can order them on Amazon too. They come with various lids. You don't want the hard spouted sippy cup lid. You want the flat lid that these really colorful straws come in, right? And you poke it through the lid. Right? Okay. But for the sake of teaching, I'm going to show you using a Starbucks cup because this cup is too small for my mouth to my chest area. And I want to show you what it would look like in proportion for a child. So what you're going to do, assuming that this Starbucks cup is actually a kid cup, is once you teach the kids how to drink from a straw, make sure that you cut the straw down. It should be cut down about to there. Isn't that short? That's because you want the tip of the straw to go to the tip of the tongue. If the straw is going right over the tongue like this, look, I'm thrusting my tongue, right? Or even this, look, I can't elevate my tongue tip to get that mature swallow pattern. So instead, once I've taught them to drink from a straw, I'm going to slowly cut that straw down. Don't go too drastic right away until I get to about there. And then the tip of the straw goes to the tip of the tongue. So look. Now I can lift my tongue tip if I'm a little toddler up there for swallowing. So it's going to look like this. See that? The other trick, though, to really help them retract the tongue and use this top lip a little bit more, that also helps to alleviate a tongue thrust, is to have them hold their toddler cup, but I'm going to show you with my big cup, against their chest so that when they lean down to it, there's a little bit of a ridge right here, yeah? And you want them to actually rest their chin on that ridge of the cup because now the chin is being blocked from thrusting, and wherever the chin goes, the tongue goes. Wherever the chin goes, the tongue goes. So if you can provide some support for the chin, they're much more likely to have better control of their tongue, and it's not as likely to thrust. So I teach all my toddlers to hold their cups against their chest. And if there's room, which there usually is here, they can put their chin on it and suck this way. And that will help to retract the tongue as well. Okay. So another strategy for you, number 2, is you can also use these little honey bears. We've all seen these before, right? You can get the taller ones from Arc Therapeutic. You can get them from talktools.com. But I get my little mini ones off of Amazon, and I'll put the link in here for you as well. I get the rubber tubing, this silicone straw from Talk Tools. But what I do is I actually am going to cut this down as well. So I'm going to cut it probably about right there. Hang on one second, guys. There we go. See that? Now, if it's too long, you can always push it in a little bit more. But where you want to get to is the tip of the straw to the tip of the tongue. But look, you've got a natural lip block there. So when the kids go to suck on this, Their lips, they can brace it right against the top of the honey bear, okay? And because of that, then they have better stability, but they also can retract their tongue a little bit better. So that's called a lip block. Now you can also buy lip blocks if you want to, and there is an advantage to this, from Arc Therapeutic or Talk Tools, and they come in a set of 5. I'm just going to show you 3 for right now so you can get an idea. This one right here, that's about the same size straw we were just looking at, yeah? And then see the blue one is a little bit shorter, and then wow, look at this one. So for kids that were really working on a lot of good lip seal and being able to really retract that tongue, you can systematically take them down to something even as short as this. And again, their lips are blocked right here. But how do you use it? Well, what you're going to do is, here's your straw. I usually use the hard take and toss straw with these, and it just inserts right into it. It won't go all the way down, but the beauty of that is remember, the amount of liquid that's coming through the circumference of the straw, or the diameter, I should probably say would be more accurate. Well, that amount of liquid is what lands on the tongue. And look here, guys, see how that's a tiny bit skinnier because we inserted it inside? So now what's going to happen is that child also isn't going to get quite as much liquid on their tongue, which also, by the way, helps them to get more control and retract. And if you've got a child who tends to cough a lot on straws, this is a good solution to get more of a narrow straw, but more support for the seal. So those are called lip blocks. Another way that you can make a lip block is by taking just your standard dollar store curly straw, right? And you're gonna have to use some super shears. These are not gonna work well, but I would cut it right about there, because if you did that, then the kids will have a natural lip block right here as well. And that will help them when they go to suck from thrusting that chin. So another option for you, another thing you could do is just take a wine cork, drill a little hole in it, and you can insert it there and create another lip block. But let me show you a couple other options. I'm sure you guys have seen these before. Let's see, here we go. So every Halloween, every birthday party, I mean, you see these all the time. There's just these little plastic straws, and they come with fun little characters on them. These create a natural lip block as well. See, they move up and down, but you want it to be right about there. And then when the kids put their lips on it, they also will get a little bit of a lip block there too. The only thing about these, though, to consider is, look, the circumference is quite a bit wider, so they're going to get a bigger bolus on their tongue. So definitely something to consider, especially when we're talking about little toddlers. I think I prefer a skinnier straw in that case. And then finally, number 3, get one of these domed lid straw cups. This one's by Kids Me. I'll put the link in the comments for you in just a little bit. But do you see how, you guys have all seen these before, you know? They just close up in the diaper bag or whenever you're traveling like that, and then they pop up this way. Look how nice and short that straw is. Now you would think that kids would hold the handles and drink it this way, right? Here's what you want to do if they're thrusting their tongue. Teach them to hold it backwards and put their chin right here. Here, I'm going to be the kiddo, and look. Do you see how my chin is resting on the dome? If I put it here, there's nowhere for my chin to rest. So if you flip it around and always teach them to drink it this way, you could put a little sticker there to cue them, however you want to do it. Then what they do is they rest their chin there, and they use their top lip even more, which will help to stretch out the orbicularis oris, which is the muscle that goes all around your lips. So it activates a little bit better. And that will help them to retract their tongue as well. So try it yourself at home and fill up some of these cups, especially with something a little bit thicker. The thicker the liquid, like if you wanted to use a smoothie or, you know, a milkshake would be fine. The thicker the liquid, the harder it is to suck, the more they have to pull back their tongue, and they begin to build more stability to create that more mature swallow pattern, because all of that strength comes from the back of the throat in order to pull the tip back. All right, that's my 3 strategies for helping a toddler who still has a tongue thrust. Now, if you've got an older child about age 4 and up, that child, if it's a significant tongue thrust, may need to see a certified oral facial myologist. And I'll put the link in the comments for you so that you know where to go to seek help and find someone who's certified in oral facial myology. But we typically send kids who are more like 4 years and up to that specialty. Otherwise, I will tell you, I'm going to give you one other hint, then we're going to start taking questions. I'm also going to include on my YouTube channel, I'll stick it right up here when I put this on YouTube tonight, about thumb sucking and how to get rid of the pacifier.